And as Taliban cements its grip over Afghanistan after the historic withdrawal of the US troops following 20 years of war, top US officials haven't ruled out the possibility of coordinating with the Taliban to get hold of the ISIS-K.
Include the possibility of any kind of coordination in counters.
It's possible.
However, the United States continues to describe the Taliban as ruthless and has said that it is unclear whether they would change.
We don't know what the future of the Taliban is, but I can tell you from personal experience that this is a ruthless group from the past, and whether or not they change remains to be seen. And as far as our dealings with them at that airfield or in the past year or so, in war, you do what you must in order to reduce risk to mission and force, not what you necessarily want to do.
U.S. Secretary of State Lloyd Austin praised the American troops in Afghanistan and the massive evacuation mission. He went on to say that the United States would not like to make any predictions on the future cooperation with Taliban, but will still remain focused on ISIS-K.
Of the U.S. war in Afghanistan. Going forward, Bob, I would not want to make any predictions. I would tell you that we're going to do everything that we can to make sure we remain focused on ISIS-K, understand that network, and at the time of our choosing in the future, hold them accountable for what they've done.
This was their first public remark after the troop pullout. Remember, American officials have assessed that the Taliban and ISIS-K are at least rivals in Afghanistan, if not sworn enemies. US President Joe Biden has also promised to hunt down ISIS-K fighters in retaliation for last week's suicide bombing at the Kabul airport gates. Top military officers have also said that the Taliban's decision to liberate all of the detainees from prisons the US established has led to 2,000 ISIS-K fighters returning to the battlefield now. Apart from coordination on ISIS-K, US is working with the Taliban on a very narrow set of issues. Coordination with Taliban in terms of getting the remaining evacuees to the airport is underway. The United States has estimated that there are close to 100-200 Americans wanting to flee Afghanistan. Victoria Nuland, US Under Secretary of State, has said that the United States is looking at all possible options and routes to continue helping Americans and legal permanent residents leave Afghanistan.
These efforts did not end on August 31st, and they will not end until we have secured the evacuation of any American citizens and LPRs and folks who worked with us and served the American people who want to get out. So we've been in contact with them in the last 24 hours to tell them that we are looking at all possible options, air routes, land routes, to continue to find ways for them to help evacuate and to support them in that. We're trying to ascertain who precisely still wants to leave, who their dependent family members are, what routes may or may not feel comfortable to them. We're also working intensively, as you know, with countries on the ground who are trying to get the civilian airport open.
And our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Let's listen in.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says that he plans to travel to the Arabian Gulf next week following the complete U.S. troop withdrawal from Afghanistan. During a press conference on Wednesday, he insisted once again that the war in Afghanistan is over, staying on script, with other Biden administration officials also saying after the largest civilian evacuation in American history, now it is time for diplomacy. Urgent effort to move Afghan evacuees out of temporary housing, an immediate staging bases in the Gulf and in Europe is why he's going and making this trip. That is a direct quote. Also, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, he also joined Austin on Wednesday. He called the Taliban ruthless, but also said that there is a possibility that the United States will seek to coordinate with the Taliban on counterterrorism efforts in combating ISIS-K and its affiliates in Afghanistan. Susan Tehrani from New York for WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.